Okay. Do you have any of those English discussions today? Or are you okay?
Mm, mm, well, I was going back through my notes, and I think I reached that point where you are totally lost.
You mean your Portuguese notes or your notes for teaching Spanish?
Yes, I was checking and checking, and yeah, I tried to. Maybe that was my mistake. I was trying to find a pattern, like where to where I could hold on to, but I couldn't find it. So I got frustrated and I didn't know. Well, I had prepared something totally different for your class today, and then I didn't do it because I thought it was like too much like the traditional system. So I said, I am back to square one.
So tell me what it was like, and then let me try to give you ideas about what that would look like if I were to do it.
Well, I had another chart that I found. I loved it because it was a game again, but I thought the same. I was like, again, a game? Teacher, you're going to be so predictable. And that's exactly what you're trying to avoid, not to be predictable.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
So it
But
was,
I end up being predictable too. It's horrible. But we always end up being predictable because we do something and then it works, and then we keep doing that, and then we end up being predictable, and then we need to shake ourselves again, stop being predictable, and then you come up with something new. But tell me about the game. Tell me about what the game is about. There are always ways to make them conversational.
well, it was a bunch of games. And first I wanted to do this because of these special holidays here.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this sopa de letras about my holiday today.
Mm.
El Cultura INA, it's the Arts Institute. The Arts
Mm-hmm.
Institute made this for children to start getting familiar with their holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So I was planning to do that with you.
I think that the problem with this particular activity is that it takes too long and it does not require communication in
But
order to be done.
maybe you could do it as a communication exercise. Like I tell you where the letter is, like I tell you it's last class we well this is coming to me right now. Last class we played this game where you had the numbers here and the like coordinates that you had
Mm-hmm.
to put them
Yep.
together. So maybe I can tell you the first word, the first letter is in these coordinates. No, this is well I would have to write numbers here and numbers here. And the
Right.
word is in number 1 and number 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or communicative.
Um, but the thing is then why? Why would we be doing that? Why? Because we
Purpose. Mhm.
yeah, because we would just be looking for those words on the side inside of the thing inside, right?
Well, my idea was like when you find all the words, tell me what do you think the tradition in Mexico today is with
hmm
from these words?
What I would do simply is I typically never show anything to my student, right? I never show them any papers, any PDFs, any documents. Um, Making exercises communicative sometimes is simply you having the material here and your student is there And how are you gonna use some of this with them without them ever seeing this?
Okay, I
It,
have this paper in my hand, but they are not looking at it, you mean?
yeah, they're not looking at it, and you wanna, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna give them that feedback? You wanna talk about Aguascalientes, México, Independencia, España, Nación, Criollos, Territorio, Cultura. So maybe one thing is just dictating those words and see if I write them correctly. Then you're checking my phonetics. Um,
And then I can ask, what can you relate these words and tell me the tradition and guess the tradition?
maybe. That's a big thing. And that's maybe a more creative undertaking rather than a linguistic communicative one.
Oh.
Maybe what I would do is, oh, so Jackson, it's Independence Day, and this is why I'm dressed this way. And how do you think that the word Aguas Calientes relates to all of this? Can you make any connection? Or maybe, how do you think that España relates to all of this? Oh, España colonizó México, y entonces uh, tantas cosas de España están presentes en México en este día.
Mm-hmm.
Criollos, I don't know. Criollos son las...
Spanish Mexican mix.
sí, sí. Ujú. La cultura que se formó después de España mezclarse con los pueblos que ya estaban aquí.
Mm-hmm.
Ujú.
Okay, that could be an idea.
Yeah,
Well, this is another thing I was going to send to you.
you were gonna send me a lot of stuff, right?
Kino, you know Kino? I think he's Argentinian. The
I do. Hmm.
Alda. It's from the same author.
And what were you gonna do with that?
Ask you to create a story.
Hmm. Um, I don't know.
I remember, well, I wanted to, my purpose for this specific picture was to practice the vocabulary for cleaning because I think last class that was difficult for you. So then I wanted to check it. So then maybe what I wanted you to say is la niña está jugando a limpiar, tiene una escoba en la mano y
Hmm.
los demás juguetes son un trapeador o un mechudo, un cepillo, una esponja, un recogedor, una aspiradora.
Okay.
The vocabulary, that was my whole purpose, was for you to practice that piece of vocabulary.
Sure, and that's completely fine. I think that sometimes, at least in my experience, there is a problem with requiring your student to. Oh my God, 10:30. I do have a student in 7 minutes. I cannot
Okay.
forget that.
Yes,
Um,
and be checking.
but sometimes the problem with in one-on-one lessons to ask your student to come up with a story is that there is again a little bit of an unproductive or confusing moment where students are not really sure what they could produce. I think that these storytelling activities they work better in other kinds of settings. For example, in a classroom where you're gonna give this picture to everybody and then everybody's going to have their downtime, their quiet time to do this so that creativity can arise and so that they can have ideas and write and erase and do things like that, manipulate language on their own.
Uh, Something's coming. maybe I can have the picture like you said and give clues to you so you can guess my picture.
What do you mean?
Okay, I have a picture in my hand and I want you to guess what it is. Uh, I will give you some clues. Um, there is a little girl. What other things can there be related to kids, to toddlers?
Juguetes.
Juguetes, very good. No, for example. It
It
does,
is.
yes.
It is an option. It is an option. But you can also send the picture. I think that this picture is better than the previous one because this one does not contain language, so you can take it whatever ways you want.
Okay,
Um,
at 26, I have to show you the last one.
do go. But still about the picture of the kid playing. Okay, you want me to say certain things, so you can prompt me in a way. You can say something like, la niña está, and I complete. La niña está jugando con sus juguetes. Um, and then you say, pero sus padres están irritados porque la niña hace mucho ruido.
Okay,
Um,
understand.
so you're not asking me to create a whole story. You're having something from me, and then you're adding something of your own, and then I'm quickly able to produce something, and then you give me something else. Maybe maybe you have your own list of words that you would like me to practice, so you would throw them in, and then you would see if I understand. Um, La niña no está feliz, tampoco sus padres, porque están hablando de negocios o cosas así. La niña quiere que, que cualquiera juegue con ella, pero están hablando de negocios. You know?
Okay.
You need to give little things so that the conversation is arising and that you're being able to collect mistakes and collect language. This is your biggest purpose, collecting language. So if language is not being actively produced, then what are you collecting?
Mm-hmm.
Habla sobre ti. Mhm. Okay. So this one is an example where, for example, the last one, you don't need to send me that picture. You can tell me, give me a number from 1 to 6,
Okay.
or roll the dice, for example. But I don't see anything.
I
Just
tell
roll the dice. I roll the dice, and then you get my numbers, and then you go there and you ask me the question.
yes, sounds good.
Because because if you give me the picture, then it'll be like very predictable for one. It's very predictable. I know where things are and I can look through them. Um, I'm not needing to understand your speaking because I can see it right there. There's even a picture.
I understand.
So it's like instead of making it just a reading, responding experience, you're having it a listening, and maybe you can ask me to write that down to check my
Okay.
spelling, and then you can ask me to respond, or
Why
you can
didn't
ask me
I
the
think
question. Sorry?
why didn't I think about that?
But now you have this in you. Now that we're talking through it, I think that this idea will start developing. Or you can ask me or you can give me the following instruction, Jackson. I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to respond to the question, and then you're going to repeat the question back to me, okay? And then you model this and you do an example and see if it works, if the student understood, and then you go on with the activity, just so that they remember the structure after responding, just so that they can hold to the language for a few seconds. Um,
Okay, go, 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 go.
if it, or sometimes I need to talk. Or sometimes, if it's too hard for some students, do have bigger challenges with memory. So for them, it'll be very hard. So I will ask you a question, you repeat the question, and then you respond. This is also an option, just to check whether they can repeat your question. If they can, maybe the grammar is better settled in them. It's more understood, better understood. I need to go now.
You need to go.
Obrigado, Rebeca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Viva México.
Viva México!